My name is Brett Pontecorvo, and we are here every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today, we have a really cool guest coming on. He's been through a whole lot of analog stuff and has ended up in the digital realm, and I think he's going to provide some unique insights for us today, and how we can really function best in multiple contexts, whether we're working in the studio, going to the stage, doing a little bit of both, or needing to seamlessly move between all of them. It's going to be pretty valuable. I do want to say hello. We've got some guests tuning in today. Dave Bolden from the UK. We're so happy to have you here, Dave. James Brady tuning in from Denver, Colorado. Excited to see you. We've got Chalk the Alchemist from Rome, Italy. It's a pretty awesome username. Former Backstage guest, Harry Trendle. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to jump into it today, but before we do, go ahead and let us know in the comments, what was your first real instrument? And I don't mean like, what was your first instrument that was like, actually an instrument. What I mean is, what was the first instrument that you got and you were like, oh, this is a legit instrument. Like, this is for real. I know for me, the first real instrument that I ever got was a Korg TR-88. It was a workstation and had some cool sounds in it. And I remember programming my first version of Rent. I got hired to play Rent. I think I was like 16 or something like that. And I remember programming in all of the sounds into this Korg TR-88. And it was the first time that I was using an instrument, and I thought, oh, this is for real. So if you have one of those stories for yourself, your first like legit instrument, where you were like, man, this instrument is for real, then do let us know what that is. Okay, we got Justyn coming up soon, but I do want you to know and mark your calendars, because next week we have a very special guest, and the special guest is Ruben Valtierra. And if you can see this image on the screen right now, up in the back, there is a little red circle, and you'll see that is actually Ruben. And if you're familiar with this guy right here, this guy is Weird Al. And so we've got Weird Al's keyboardist, Ruben Valtierra, coming on next week. He is using Gig Performer to power the upcoming Weird Al Yankovic tour. So if you're curious how he's doing that, you want to mark your calendars. Also, definitely worthwhile to mention that Ruben is doing some very accurate recreations of not just Weird Al's versions, but the original versions, hosting it all inside of Gig Performer. So you do want to check that out. We'll be here at 11:30 a.m. Next week. We got a couple of answers coming in about our first real instruments, so I wanted to honor those responses here. Harry's first real instrument was my ADG touch guitar. I love it. Michael Kaiser is also a former Backstage guest. First real instrument was a Kawai K4, but I always wanted to have the Korg M1 instead. Yes, I feel that. Let's see. Chris Bartley's first real instrument, the Chroma Polaris 2 in 1985, and you still have it. I love it. Also worth checking out, Chris's episode does some very cool stuff with syncing MIDI between devices. Really wanted to play the saxophone, but my parents pushed me to piano, thank goodness. Oh man, yes, I hear you on that. Okay, let's see. James Bolden. I had a few keyboards before, but my first serious instrument would be a Roland JV90, which I still have. It's hard to get rid of those first instruments, isn't it? 73 Rhodes, James Brady. Yes. Chris, let's see here. Oh, wow. David Bosco, my father's guitar. Yeah, man. I feel that. That's real. That's music getting passed down. Brian Sisson, Korg Poly 800. I love it. Thank you guys for sharing. I know all of those memories are pretty special. Okay, so we do have today coming on Justyn Clark. We got him on the stream right now. Justyn is based out of LA, but actually is a jazz drummer amongst session musician, amongst producer, recording, does everything, kind of all over the place. Came through New School, great jazz drummer. But as you can see, he's got quite a robust studio set up. And behind all of this stuff, Gig Performer is running as a real way for him to have a sort of separate from his DAW workflow that empowers him to really be an instrumentalist first before he moves over to the production side of things. This is just a preview, by the way. We're going to see all of this stuff when we bring him on right now. So welcome to Backstage with Gig Performer Justyn Clark.
Hey, Brett.
Dude, thank you for being with us.
Good to see you, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for sending the most high-res images that have yet to be shown on Backstage with Gig Performer. I love it. We get like the best shots of your studio. Okay, so for folks who don't know who you are, what you do, give us like a bird's eye view. You're not just a musician. You're a father. You're an engineer. Like, give us the whole caboodle.
Yeah. I'm a senior software engineer. I've been working in the tech industry for a little over a decade. And I say I've been in the music industry as a musician even longer.
Yep.
So yeah, we could kind of start from the beginning. I was originated from Denver, Colorado. Awesome. Moved to LA, California in 88 and in Agora Hills. So I got to give a shout out, A-Town, Bubble.
I love it.
Yeah, it's in hindsight, it's quite a wonderful place. There's a lot of amazing people, a lot of amazing talent, and I could even feel confident enough to say that there's a music scene from there. And so I just I got my first drum set when I was 5 years old.
Yes.
This because we moved next door to some three brothers, like heavy metal, long hair, rock and roll, Megadeth, Metallica, AC/DC sort of stuff.
Yes.
And then just officially started playing in middle school.
Okay.
And again, Agora being a very special place, I was fortunate enough and blessed to have Matt McKagan as a music director there. He's a music teacher who's the brother of Duff McKagan. So that was always really kind of cool. And then just kind of took off from there, as you shared, went to college playing drums. So just definitely was in the band geek world. I started on the drums, and then one of my friends picked up the drums, and I said, well, we can't have two drummers. So I picked up bass shortly after that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
okay. This question is burning in my head because just being like in the music industry, and I know you've got some keys, chops, and you've got some other instruments. I want to know from your perspective, like, how does being like a trained drummer make you play every other instrument differently? If it does at all. But I'm like listening to you talk and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm just so curious. Somebody who's like a rhythm first perspective playing a bunch of other instruments.
Yeah, I would say the benefit from that is just having that internal clock.
Yeah.
Because it was, countless hours just working with the metronome, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so just rhythmically, actually as a drummer, percussionist, you study rudiments and patterns, right?
Yep.
So different alternating patterns, you can do the same exact sort of thing on any instrument, really. So that's been one thing that's been really, really cool to kind of applied from a drummer's perspective, picking up and playing other instruments.
I love that. I love it. Okay. I do think you have some awesome pictures of some of these drum sets and stuff you were talking about.
I
share those with us.
Sure. Yeah. I put together just a little slideshow that kind of will help paint a picture and illustrate the journey, at least my journey, and the evolution of the home studio, as I like to call it.
Awesome.
So let's see. This is Ecamm Live. Let me go to the tab. Okay. Yeah, you have it now.
Should I pull this up?
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet.
Am I sharing the whole screen though?
You are, but you could totally unshare and reshare.
Yeah, here we go. There you go.
Yeah. Hey, I love it. Okay,
and I gotta give her my. This is in Colorado. This is in
Okay.
Denver. This is probably the year 1985 ish.
Okay.
You could tell by the original Nintendo and the
Yes.
tube
Yes.
television. So
Yes.
I start here just because this will you give some perspective to the technology sort of thing, and
Mm-hmm.
and kind of how we got here. And
Yep.
I know you're gonna where did gig performer come into your life? It
Yep.
really kind of starts from the beginning. And then shortly after that was the move to Denver, or not, I'm sorry,
Yes.
from Denver to Agora. So
Yes.
that's the bedroom
Dude, that is
there.
a sweet drum set. Hold on. How many toms are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I love it.
So um this was a night that I had a babysitter over,
Okay.
right? And this was my next door neighbor's drums, and then
Okay.
my garage sale drums, and again, like the heavy metal, like,
Yes.
dude,
Are
my
there
parents say,
secretly
can we?
two kick drums down there?
Oh yeah, that's double bass drum.
Wow. I
you
love
know
it. Okay.
so yeah, so kind of moving along.
Yep.
This is probably middle school or in
Okay.
high school.
Yep.
um and if I could zoom in, maybe we can maybe this is a cool share. And I wanted to share this too. This the signatures on this drum head.
Yep.
I think that big one is like David Weckl,
Whoa.
Elvin Jones, Intugu Chancellor, Steve Gadd. Excuse me.
Dude, how did you get your hands on all of those signatures? That's
The
like an
NAMM show.
amalgamation of from where?
The NAMM show.
Wow. Yep, makes sense.
I was yeah. So just I was actually I had the opportunity to be able to go to the NAMM show. So every year I would go. I went for probably maybe 5-6 years straight.
Okay.
In the 2000s. And yeah, Joe Percar, like, yeah, this is a legendary thing.
Dude, that is like an
kind of proud of it,
insane drum head.
right?
Okay, so sorry. Just because I'm assuming that not everybody is quite as much of a jazz head as we may be, can you just give a brief explanation of who those names are and why they matter for people who might
Sure,
not know?
sure.
Yeah.
So Steve Gadd, one of the most phenomenal, greatest drummers of all time,
Yep.
has played on probably every record you ever heard.
Yes. Yes.
And particularly his work with Steely Dan. That's where I really loved his stuff and studied his work.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Weckl,
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal session musician. So he's played hundreds of records. And these are the cats. These are the guys, the A-list session musicians, right?
Yep.
Let's see, Elvin Jones, famous drummer. He played with Coltrane.
Yep. Yep.
And then Ndugu Chancellor, I see that right there too. So that'll also segue into part of my story too, because I studied with him. So he is a phenomenal drummer, percussionist, and he's mostly known for being the drummer on Billie Jean.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so he was a professor. I don't know if he's still teaching there in Ndugu. I don't know. I apologize.
Yeah.
At SC,
Mm-hmm.
at USC. So we'll get to part of that story and why I didn't go to SC and then ended up in where we're going next. Yeah, so this was a little bit older. The dreadlocks came in, and this is right before I was getting ready to go to New York. You could probably see the date down there.
And dude, you're behind the console. What's going on? You're mixing.
Yeah, the next slide has that mixer there. It's a Behringer.
Okay.
So.
Haha.
I kind of wanted to share this because it's interesting. Yep. I've been meeting and talking with up and coming producers and beat makers and musicians and stuff like that. You're kind of getting started. Yep. And this is like it was the struggle was real.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is like, we live in a world where there's so many possibilities that sometimes you have extreme paralysis. Right? Like, you could do anything, so what do you do? But when you like rewind a little bit, you're like, this is what you have. It's all right here. There's only a couple ways to connect things. This is what it does. And dude, people, I don't know, we're making amazing things. Arguably some, fantastic art that like is not even comparable to what's being made. Everything has its own special shine, obviously, but it's so helpful to see this type of thing. The struggle is super real.
yeah, and exactly to your point, I thought it would be valuable to share that, like, it's not always about like the best,
Hmm.
what's the best thing, what's it's that just kind of takes away from my, what I've learned and understand, and what I respect and value the most is the music at the end of the day.
Yep.
But I'm also a technologist, so I do like to tinker
Yeah.
too.
Yep.
But yeah, this is where it really all started. I mean, in 2000, in 1999, gig performer
Hmm.
is a new thing. A
Hmm.
lot of the new thing, software applications and plugins and the technology, even the computers. That's honestly. So this is the desktop G4 down there,
I was going to ask you
right?
about that. Okay. Okay.
So and I'll tell you. So when and so that's the Uniter 8 MIDI interface. So that's the interface. You don't see too many of these anymore these days, and that's for back then. You would have racks of sound modules, like
Yep.
all the different Proteus sound modules, all the different Roland stuff, which now you can get from the cloud, which is just again,
Hmm.
evolution of technology. Um, you know,
Yes.
and this we'll get to it here. So because this JV1080, the one that you see here, is now here, and it's like it's brand new again.
Hmm. Hmm. So
For
is it
one,
is it the same one? Sorry. And also, did you give me a picture of it?
yeah, I have it at the end of the slide,
Okay,
a
great.
close
Great.
up,
Keep going. Keep
yeah,
going.
of
Go
the
ahead.
slideshow,
That's fine. Yeah.
yeah. And so it's like it's got brand new life to it again. For one, just the upgrade in the audio interface that I went through. Although, as you can see there, that's the Digi 001,
Yep.
the Pro to one of their first audio interfaces.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, and it came alive again because I became a different person. I became a better player over the years, and so wow, okay. um,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. I'll go to the next one here. So this was again okay. So this is coming. This is after New York coming back, and I'll tell you why. Is because of this MPC drum machine,
Yes.
the Roger
Okay.
Lynn MPC drum machine. There, that's not
Okay.
mine. It belongs to a good friend of mine who I met in New York as well, John Carlberg from Sweden. We became good friends and actually reconnected after, gosh, long time, just recently, and we keep in touch on a regular basis.
Hmm.
Um, but why I have had that then was he gave it to me in New York to bring to Bruce Forat in
Okay. I'm
Burbank and
not.
Hollywood out here. So
Okay.
I'll share. So Bruce Forat is maybe a lesser known hero, but he is the guy, the audio technician that has pretty much modified and upgraded all the NPCs for all the biggest producers, like Battle Cat, Dr. Dre, um,
Wow.
DJ Quick. Those are all hip hop and R&B producers. But he was the service guy. He was the one you took their NPCs to get larger disk space,
Wow.
and
Okay.
things like that. So yeah, so I took taking that there, and he sent it back. And I also want to this Wurlitzer that you keep seeing in the back. We'll come full circle on that as well.
Hmm.
These
Hmm.
drums I haven't had for a long time. Up
Okay.
until a couple of years ago, they've been in the basement at my father's in Denver, but now they're in the other room. So I'm really excited. This whole um, reemergence. Um,
Yes.
so I added this in here because it's a newer picture. You can see the
Yep.
difference in the quality.
Yep.
But this was last Christmas at my pop's house, and it was going through the basement, and I found my old boxes. I'm maybe call me, it's a weird thing, but I'm a hoarder for boxes. And
Yes.
and the thing
Okay.
is,
I
I
get it.
guess in my mind was like, if I ever sell gear, whoever gets my gear from me is gonna be top quality,
In
stickers on
good
the
shape.
box,
Yes.
in great
Exactly.
shape. But yeah, so this is interesting. So everybody, I mean not everybody, but anybody who has a Mac computer will know about Logic Pro Audio.
Hmm. Hmm.
What they may not know is that it was a German company, eMagic, um, as you can see on the box there. And at that time I got into it, it was really interesting. And this is when Logic was version like 3.0, 3.5 on PC. They had with the gold, silver, and platinum edition, and they had the brick dongle. And then they
Yep.
had this, this MIDI interface here, and they had this. There was a sound card, I believe. Like this is a home studio kit, 8-channel PCI recording card.
Wow.
But on top of that is an RME PCI card that's still supported today. That thing is
Wow.
over 20 years old, and they still support the drivers for it today.
That is something else. Is it still in
Mm-hmm.
use today? Are you still using it?
I don't have it, no.
Okay.
And you know
Okay.
why? And I'll tell you why. I replaced it, which I shouldn't have, for that the Pro Tools DG001,
Okay.
because at the time, if you were an aspiring engineer, you had to know Pro Tools, right? That's what all
Right.
the studios are using, sort of thing. So that was
Right.
the move there.
Yep. Yep.
But I do wish I still kept it.
Yep.
We'll come back, because now
Wow.
we've come full circle to
Yep.
RME and just the journey through the home studio and the audio interfaces and the converters, which
Yep.
people love to talk about. I think this is out of order, but yeah, there's a close up of that
Wow. That's the
Wurlitzer.
real deal. This is
Yeah,
the real
and
deal.
so this is
Yes.
after New York, coming back
Uh-huh.
into the same room, and I wanted to show it because, like, you see the monitor,
Yep.
um,
Yep.
you see the speakers just poorly placed. You see no treatment on the walls, and you see,
Yep.
young chubby adolescent me.
Yeah.
um,
I
so
love it.
the bedroom studio. Okay, so
Yes.
this is another apartment.
And this is Logic. You're in Logic
This
here,
has
yes?
been Logic over the years.
Okay.
I had that Mackie control board there,
Yep.
the big knob, and I would say I've been pretty fortunate that the brick, you can see my cursor. Yeah, the brick under
Yep.
there was the power supply to a Rode K2 vacuum, uh, the microphone.
Wow. Okay.
Which thankfully I didn't purchase, because it was
You acquired?
broke going up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Worked on a project with somebody who knew somebody at Rode, and we were able to acquire it. And then I've had it all these years, and it served me well. It's interesting. I hadn't listened to a lot of the work, and I've produced just numerous songs and worked with numerous different artists, and assisted on engineering sessions. And some of my stuff I hadn't listened to in quite a while. As you mentioned at the top, that I became a father 9 years ago, and I think you're a new father as well.
Yep. Yep.
That can kind of change things up in life a little bit. Your priority shift and your focus has to be guided. And yeah, it's just coming back around. So let's go to this next one. So that's the same room there.
Yep.
And this is funny. This is how much of an audio nerd geek I've been. It's like, so that's a 1-bedroom apartment that I moved my bed into the living room just so it can be a dedicated space.
Yes. Yep. I get
it. And so the walk-in closet as well.
Whoa.
Yeah,
I've
so
recorded in some closets. I've recorded in similar spaces. That's hilarious.
This is how it's done. And the thing is, this is how it's really done. Like, records that exist in the world that you think are recorded in $1 million studio, pristine consoles and boards. This is guerrilla style.
Yep.
It's just whatever it takes to get the job done.
Yes.
But the funny thing about this, though, was, like, when I was younger, but I'm a homeowner now, and that's where we are here. And that's also the reason why it's been able to facilitate me being able to create a space that of my dreams, kind of essentially. But every place looking for apartments I would always have to insist on having, like, a walk-in closet for a mic booth, right?
Yep.
Guitar booth. This is a percussion session that I did with phenomenal Arno Lucas, phenomenal percussion player. He played with Al Jarreau. He's currently touring with Exile. It's a huge pop band in Japan. And he's probably been the one client, a friend, associate, brother that I've worked with for so long over the years, up until most recently. We got some stuff coming on the way too to keep an eye out on. Next apartment, and this is the desk too. I wanted to show you just shots of this desk and how it's evolved and how it's never had, like, proper equipment, as I would say.
Yep.
So again,
yes,
not an ideal room. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
This is Max and Lewis, the great Max and Lewis, and Tom Kenny, right down there, and Arno up here. So
Yep.
And you can and the toys on the ground.
Yep.
So
I love it.
you can
I
see that
love it.
you
It's
can
amazing.
see we're the time. So okay, fast forward a little bit forward here. So this is in apartments. You didn't see a drum set in an apartment. I don't know too many people that play drums in an apartment. This is after I hadn't played in quite some time, and I was starting to visit my local church out here in his presence. And a friend of mine, Pastor Mel and Desiree there, a friend of mine, who's good friends with them, and she's like, "Did you ever tell Jordan? He was the Jordan Munoz. He was the musical director there. He's like, dude, do any of these people know you play drums and you're a musician?" I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
Right.
maybe, yeah, you know. She's like, she dragged me over. She says, "Pastor Mel, Justin's been meaning to tell you. He wants to play drums again. He's a great musician." He's like, "Dude, why didn't you tell me?" He's like, "Go talk to Jordan." So here I am a week later,
Oh my gosh. I can't
playing
tell
and
you how many pro musicians hide in the back of my church not wanting to be discovered. More than one. Anyway, yes. Okay. So and
yeah,
then
so
you ended
you
up back on the drum sets, which is awesome.
yeah,
Wow.
and
Okay.
really it was something that was just yeah, yearning. It was a
Yep.
yearning that was just something that just and it happened. It was something that's been in my heart.
Yep.
Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that. Um, so then, okay, this is funny. So this is, and I'm not a big name dropper, but I think it'd be valuable to kind of share and in just context so just people know it's interesting. So that's Teddy Campbell's drum set. Again, another phenomenal. You
Wow.
just Google these people.
Yep.
And he was a member of the church. And so it was great to get to to meet him, get to work with him and get his critique. I'm like, "Hey
Hmm.
man, I'm a little rusty." He's like, "How do you think?" He's like, "Yeah, hey, man, you're good. You're sitting in there,
Yeah.
hey, thank
Yep.
you,
Yep.
so then, the story continues and gets funnier. So I think maybe, and it's funny because I had been a little rusty at the time, and so they would let me in on, say, "Hey, can I come in and practice for like just by
Yeah.
myself on
Yeah.
Saturday, just jamming out in the big auditorium." So maybe like a month later, after a rehearsal, I walking off the stage, and I think I just strummed my hand across the piano, and they're like, "Justyn, you play piano?" I'm like, "Oh man, why didn't you tell us?" Like you're here. So I got all the and this
Yep.
was interesting too because I had, as I'm a jazz musician. I actually before jazz musician. The first band the music I learned was Green Day,
Hmm.
Nirvana,
Yep.
Soundgarden, all that, so the grunge stuff.
Yep.
Then into jazz, and then to here, which was pop Christian music.
Hmm.
And something I hadn't really listened to, and I don't think you could tell that it was just Christian or spiritual music
Hmm.
if you didn't weren't listening to the lyrics really,
Right.
really closely, right?
Sure.
Because it's just pop music, it's pop chords, guitars, and rock and everything
Hmm.
like that. So this was really cool because I got the opportunity to play with Jake Hamilton and learn about a whole bunch of music that was not a part of my repertoire. I wasn't really familiar with. So that was really, really great.
Yeah.
And this was just kind of just came out of the blue.
Right.
So this is a shot of me playing,
Yep.
Jordan there in the auditorium.
Hmm.
So these weren't my boards,
Yep.
and I wanted to include this too because in hindsight, here we are. I'm thinking back like, wow, if I only had Gig Performer then,
Right. Right.
you know,
Yep.
or any of some of the modern tools. But
Hmm.
I would definitely, as I'm looking to be playing again. Um, Absolutely will be using GP. So there's
Hmm.
another shot.
Hmm.
Um, so then fast forward even more. So so I bought a home. I became a homeowner 4 years ago now. I just had an anniversary. So this is one of the rooms. And again, just you see how the desk has just shrunken,
Yes. Yep.
just uh, and then let's see what happened was COVID happened here, right? So working a tech job, everybody went worked from home, and I kind of had some time to settle in to my home. Really, put some pictures on the wall, uh,
Hmm.
you
Yep.
know, kind of get some new furniture, and really, I was reconsidering, rebuilding the studio. I had the opportunity to do so,
Yep.
and it kind of just every month something new.
Yep.
And it was like I've had, you know, various different audio interfaces over the years. I had always kind of had my eyes set on an Apogee, right? Because I always heard, you know, Apogee has the better converters, you know, it was a
Yep.
thing. And then, you know, I've just been seeing Universal Audio, obviously, everybody.
Hmm.
So I started with the Twin. Then I got the satellite there for you know, more DSP power, for more plugins.
Yep.
And then I was like, I need to plug in my old interfaces, the Proteus 2000 and the JV 1080 there, right? Because I didn't have that Behringer from years ago. Um, and then it's like, we have to do it right. We have to do it right.
Okay.
People ask, like, what mic should I get? What is this and that? And I say, how does your room look?
Yes.
That
Yes.
can solve a lot of problems in itself, right? So DIY, and again, being home, and I also got to thank my son too, because he's got a lot of his favorite YouTube channels and YouTubers and stuff like that, and he spends a lot of time, you know, on there. Like, man, what do you do? Okay,
Yeah.
so then I got into it. We, you know, began during pandemic, so
Hmm.
I started finding great people that, you know, content creators and you know, just anything. There's a wealth of information, um, and also too, a lot of that was to do with being, you know, leveling up over these
Hmm.
years. Um, so here's this is all part of the projects of this rebuild. So this the story with this wordlet story. This is very interesting. Um, so back to Agora Hills, and I have to also have to mention that Agora High School, another phenomenal music director, music teacher, mentor, everything, is John Mosley,
Well.
out of Agora High School. So we competed, you know, our jazz bands, you know, marching bands, and he's known to have sent. You know, everybody has gone through him, has gone to great schools, great jazz schools, music schools, Juilliard, Manhattan School of Music, North Texas, you know, all of those. New School, I went to New School. But the Wurlitzer, I think my freshman year at Agora High School, I found this thing buried underneath a pile of marching drums, covered in dust, smelled like urine,
Yep.
and no one. I knew nobody had known. I said, Mr. Mosley, like, you know, there's a Wurlitzer buried underneath the. Oh, I didn't know. I said, it still works. You know, I don't have a piano, but I really want to learn, and I've had it ever since.
Wow.
But it's never been like this. So I restored it. I think it's Vintage King. So I
Well.
bought some legs, and that thing in over 20 plus years had never had a sustain pedal. This is
Yep.
over here. So now it does, and replaced
Yes.
the, you know, the plate on there.
Yep.
It's gorgeous. It's beautiful.
Yep.
And you've seen the pictures leading up to it over there. So here we go
Yep.
to
And this is where
today.
we are now. This is the room you're
Where we
sitting in.
sit today. Yeah.
Yes. Wow.
The desk
Okay.
looks a lot different.
Yep. It's beautiful.
And yeah, and so here's we'll get into gig performing. I know a lot of this is, you could do this in gig performer, right? This
Yep.
is the thing where people have learned through gig performer that, you know, you can model all your sounds, all your tones,
Hmm.
um, because there's line 6 Helix provides the plugin with the sounds that you can use. So that's great. It's like, okay, I have
Yep.
the VST now, so
Yep.
I effectively may not need this pedal, but you can still program these things within Gig Performer, and
Hmm.
to essentially do whatever you want,
Yep.
and just some really fun gear, you know. Um,
Yes.
and so here's the RME
Huh.
full circle.
Yep.
I had to get rid of the Apollo X8. Still got the Twin and the satellite, but I've been I know, you know, this brand. I know everything about it, and where they come from, right? They're a
Yep.
company about quality, stability, and it's something that I was looking for in the studio rebuild, and it's something I think we all look for in recording in general.
Yep.
Almost done here, and so there's the Proteus and the JB 1080. So that's right here, right now, and we have. I'm not gonna try to do that. I was gonna try to switch the camera, but I think it's gonna, and it's gonna drop out. And then to the right here, um, some really nice pieces. Just some outboard gear, analog stuff that great, and it's very very specific that I picked each of these pieces. So this essentially over here on the right is like my master bus chain, um, and the other and to the left down here was just sort of you know, you record vocals, guitar, a lot of mono signals and stuff there, and that that wraps up the slides there.
Yep. Yep. I
Yeah.
love it. So what's clear is like, you know, it's sort of been like a massive journey, right? Like you've gone through so many different phases and all of that stuff. Now you're in a home studio. Gig Performer has entered, and what does it give you that you were lacking? Well, first of all, how did you hear about Gig Performer, and what are you doing with it? Why don't we start there?
Yeah. Yeah. So specifically was right around the time that Apple they released their Sonoma update.
Okay.
It was not too long ago, and I had ran into some issues. I was having some issues. Um, in the type of issues that I know come from drivers of computers, and yeah, it just wasn't. It was like not what I'm looking for right now. You know, it's just it's like the spinning ball of death, clicks and pops, and you know, there's something I just don't want to ever have to worry about. Um, and then so I stumbled upon a video. Like I think you mentioned it at the top too. It was a big producer, sample maker named Decap, and he did a short where essentially he was expressing the same thing that I felt, was like, hey, I kind of had these issues, and I need stability. And by the way, I'm able to solve a problem and achieve something with because of this new application called Gig Performer. I said, interesting. You know, so I went and looked at it, read up on it, and I saw that it was a Dusky Technologies.
This
It
key,
was
yep.
the founders and originators, are developer or musicians who are software engineers. I was like, that's my kind of people, right?
Yes, exactly,
So
exactly.
that's yeah. So because I understood, I said, okay, I understand the motivation for the design, you know, and what it's supposed to mean, and you know, um, what it's used for. And so actually at the same time then it was discovering it really kind of tipped the scale for me to make a decision to go back to RME. It was like I knew about it, and it's specifically the issue with like the updating the OS, um, that I just know that the RME company and their interfaces, they that's something they prioritize, right? The same thing is I see in Gig Performers is just prioritizing performance and you know, um, fault tolerant, you know,
Mm-hmm.
jitter free
Yep.
behavior, you know, functionality.
Yep.
And yeah, so I just immediately didn't even buy the trial. I just went and bought it immediately. It was I
Yes.
know that this is what I want, what I need. And I think to answer your question, the problem that it sort of solved was I like to jam. I have like really nice VST, which stands for virtual software instrument, um, that I run as standalone, right? Some of them have their own built-in recorder, and I can say specifically, it's a Spectrasonics. So Spectrasonics Omnisphere is their synth, their ambient sort of software synth. They have Keyscape, which is their pianos and their roses and their clavinets, all the keys, and Trilogy, which is their bass. And so each one of those products, one of the newest features, they have the built-in, I think it's called flow capture. So you can just hit record, and you know whatever you're doing, it will render out the MIDI file, and the audio files for it too.
Mm-hmm.
And I often will just sit for hours and just play, go and go,
Mm-hmm.
and then just have a wealth of ideas that I can chop full songs.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if I did something as I was playing in the standalone, you know, I can just export it into a DAW and continue to go further from there.
Yep.
But then I saw that, you know, Gig Performer kind of embodies that,
Yep.
is a great solution for that, built on top of stability.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yep. So, do you want to talk through your typical flow? Because I know you use Gig Performer kind of as a way to keep your instruments and your recording separate. Do you want to like show how that works with like how everything connects with Gig Performer?
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. We want to jump into GP. Share window. Okay. Okay, I'll start with Gig Performer.
Great.
But this is an interesting thing too, because Gig Performer will look different for people differently just based on their audio interface. Um,
Yep.
so okay, I think you have it now.
Yep. Let me bring it up. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Woo. All right. Tell us what we're seeing here.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, if for somebody new opening up Gig Performer, this is just a blank canvas,
Yep.
and you will just start off with this big red bar at the top and this brown bar at the top, which represents your audio interface.
Mm-hmm.
So the kind of going back to the expanding, I needed more IO. For one, it was like I need my existing gear IO, and then all the new outboard audio analog units need their
Mm-hmm.
own IO.
Yep.
Um, and again, I give credit where credit's due with that decap video. His setup is essentially the same thing I have here. So
Okay.
it's the Army
Yep.
has 8 in 8 out, and then it's expanded through the Sphero-Fish Pulse 16. So that's why you see I don't know how much you can zoom in, but it goes up to just like 64 channels there.
Yep.
And so I think I would need to explain the integration with RME.
Okay.
If I can switch over to
And so just for people who are watching, really what's
total mix
happening right
effects.
now, this portion of it is just about how you're getting all of your outboard gear centralized in one location. Right? That's what's happening here. Like this is taking all of your hardware plus your soft synths and centralizing it through Gig Performer before it goes then somewhere else. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this with the standalone thing that I was doing, so I would have um so I have a couple drum VSTs that I use for drums, and then I can go between both of those for like real drums and then program drums, and then again, just keys, basses, pianos, and whatnot. And
Yep.
I'm literally and I use a program called Loopback, which is from a company called Rogue Amoeba,
Yep.
and it basically just allows you to hook into your audio system and
Mm-hmm.
essentially route anything anywhere.
Yep.
And that's a point, and important thing here too, and the theme is the routing anything anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, do you have this big mixer up here? So okay, when you buy an audio interface from RME, you get
Yep.
this beautiful piece of software called there's Total Mix Effect,
Yep.
and it's a bit confusing for folks. I've heard it told different ways about how to approach it. I think I like mine better.
Yep.
It's the bottom up approach.
Okay.
No offense to anybody, but it's just coming from a technical
Yep.
perspective too. And the analogy I've shared is like when you start from the bottom up, anything you select is like a tab on a web browser.
Yep.
So you click on one tab, you go to one page. You click on another tab, you go to another page. So, and a good place to start is just at the main, down at this. This is your stereo out.
Yep.
So, and then okay, we have selected our main output. So, and then let's look at the top row. The top row are your physical hardware inputs.
Yep.
The second row is what's called software playback channels. The bottom row is called the physical hardware outputs.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. So we have this mic coming in on 12 here,
Yep.
and so whatever you have selected at the bottom row, which is the hardware outputs, including the main, your headphones over here, anything else above that, when the fader is raised, will go into the bottom selected channel.
Yep.
So
Gotcha.
what this means is this idea. I'm sorry, you had a question.
Oh no. I was just agreeing. Just
Okay,
following with you. Keep going.
cool. So yeah, so there this gives you the ability and unlocks the ability to have many different submixes.
Mm-hmm.
And over to the right here, you have a set of snapshots, and each one says this first one is, if, I don't know if you could see it. It says main, and I've named these. So the first one is main. It's just kind of just um, that's when you're making moves.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to share GP and show those output channels?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can actually. So yeah. Let me. So the thing was, I had made some moves over here, and it's important to save that, store that snapshot. So I have one snapshot called main, which is essentially just kind of just a clean slate, and I've named one gig performer over here as well. And you're seeing that, yeah, okay.
Yep.
And then I have one, this loop back one is, which I've been working with setting up for the stream.
Yep.
It's complicated, but what I was trying to say, the easy part about understanding the routing is that what you have selected at the bottom is what everything above will go into.
Right.
So okay, so let me see. So I can so I have a bit my bass going on over here,
Yep.
and okay, so the Novation base station to the left here is going in through this Drummer 1972 mic pre channel 2. It's really nice. It's got some EQ on it, so you can do some tone shaping. So that's coming in on BS2, base station 2 over here.
Yep.
Which then, let's see. So I have that. And you do have to check. Kind of see where anything is routed to. And then the microphone is this channel mic. It's 12 actually, and then
Yep.
so the Proteus at the top here, right below this aren't me total mix effects, where it says that the Proteus 2000 there, and then the JB 1080 to the right of that. These are again physical inputs.
Yep.
Um, the KO from the Teenage Engineering drum machine here, and then further over to the left is two mics here. I've got the Tascam TA 1VP. It's a outboard auto tune. It's a great channel strip, by the way. Even if you don't use it for the auto tune, it's got a lot of built-in compressor, noise gate, everything is awesome.
Yep.
And then yeah, so then the MBP stands for, that's the master bus processor. That's a Rupert Neve, the Portico 2. To the left of that is the Arturia Mini Freak.
Yep.
To the left of that is that WA2A. That's the LA2A clone from Warm Audio. It's a
Yep.
compressor, from legendary compressor.
Yep.
The EQPA is a Pultec, which is the original Pultec. I don't have the original one, but there are some great audio manufacturing companies out there that are doing high quality clones, essentially what they call them. And this
Mm-hmm.
one is by Audioscape.
Mm-hmm.
To the left of that is a distressor, Empirical Labs distressor, and then the base station here. To the left again, the other drummer, Mike Pre, an ADAT 1 and 2, the Helix physical input from the Helix is the guitar processor, physical outboard, the Wurlitzer. So I just have a 1/4 inch cable going out to the Wurlitzer, and then mic. So yeah, and then there's some mics, and I have this. There's a reverb. I have a Lexicon PCM 70, and actually I picked that up from the late Bill Vorndick. Gotta
Yep.
give him a shout out. He was passed away recently. He's legendary sound engineer. He's really known from like bluegrass and that sort of genre.
Yep.
Also have an outboard stereo EQ from another great company called Audio Heritage, and another stereo compressor from Audio Heritage, and then finally at the very top is called the Zulu, which is a tape emulation. It's a passive unit, so it doesn't take any electricity. And this guy in the, I forget Langston, but the company is called Handsome Audio, I believe. Okay, so That's all of the hardware, the outboard analog physical hardware.
Yep.
And to the right here is a bunch of the MA, which is that expanded IO from the Pulse 16, and you have your ADATs. I think is a pair of uh, in-out ADATs, as well as MADI. So that's a newer sort of connection. It's via light pipe, and you're probably also going to start hearing more about another way of transferring is Dante.
Yep.
So RME, again, being a audio interface manufacturer, they've had all of those sort of things, and some of the other audio manufacturing companies are starting to add that to their units, because that's where things are going.
Yep.
Streaming, broadcasting, live, um, connectivity, networking. Um,
Yep.
Transferring audio over long distances, landline sort of stuff, and it's cool because it solves a lot of problems. It actually solves the cost of expensive cabling to be able
Mm.
to do a lot of this stuff with this here, right?
Yep.
Because of total mix effects, this what we're seeing here, and from RME, a lot of people said, hey, I don't need a physical patch bay anymore.
Yep.
Um, because their motto here is just route anything anywhere.
Yep.
So that said, that's important for a gig performer, because when you start connecting wires and things,
Hmm.
and it can get confusing, right?
Yep.
It's just learning the system itself. I'm going to switch over to gig performer.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay. So yeah, I wanted to share that because it'll help this make more sense of what we're
Yep.
seeing here. um, and again, so if I had like an Apollo twin, a Universal Auto Apollo twin, or a Focusrite, two in, two out, this red bar would be a lot smaller, right?
Right. Right.
Um,
Yep.
so what's going on here? And again, so I got on Gig Performer just I think 2 months before version 5 release,
Okay.
which was a couple months ago now,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So this is, and it's a never ending process. There's so much to get into, so much to learn. So I'm still learning things, and
Hmm.
coming up with ideas like, oh, what if I try this and that? So the idea here was, because this bottom outputs aren't going to like the physical outputs, which you may think, right?
Right.
You may think that, like, hey, okay, down here I want to go to the, oh, you're not seeing that I clicked over to total mix, but maybe I'll share full screen.
No, it's totally fine. So, because basically, what you were showing there in GP, those are outputs that are going to be routed elsewhere. Which this, if I'm correct, is where you're exporting your sounds out of GP into your DAW. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the again, going back to like the jamming sort of thing, and
Yep.
the spirit of capturing performance,
Yep.
I was recording just to QuickTime.
Gotcha.
If you have an Apple computer, you have QuickTime, and you can do like record audio, and it's just recording stereo audio.
Yep.
And that's what I was doing. I was balancing. Um, I use Superior Drummer 3, and I use XO for drums, setting the balance there, mixing within the audio instrument itself, getting the bass at a right level, getting the keys, just mixing within the VST itself,
Yep.
all the way down to 2-track.
Yep.
Right. So
Wow.
you were saying, so to go to the DAW, of course. So yeah, I know we've seen Logic all over the place too,
Hmm.
and I'll share why I now use Reaper. So
Hmm.
Reaper is what is another lesser known, but I think, in my opinion, and arguably, um, I don't even say superior. It's a great. I don't want to start any fights in the community, but
I
and
think
so
we
that
we glossed over something that's key. I'm realizing, so I want to just back up quickly.
sure.
What you just said was it takes all of these channels and mixes it down to 2 tracks, right? Is that correct? When you're recording in QuickTime, you're taking any of this stuff and it all mixes down into just 2 channels.
2 channels, but I had something interesting I discovered after getting the RME the interface with the Pulse 16. So before that happened, it was just within QuickTime. Anything that it was going through my system audio would get mixed down and get recorded to two track.
Yep.
But when I got this set up, I was doing the same exact thing, and for just maybe like a minute long recording, the
Mm-hmm.
file size was like a gigabyte. I said, "What is going on here?"
Mm-hmm.
And I would play back stuff, and I would hear instruments that I wasn't intentionally meaning to record, but for some reason, and it's a particular audio file type. It's multi-channel audio, right?
Okay.
So I was anytime I hit record, it was recording 64 channels
Wait, where was it recording? Like when you were
to
recording
that to
within?
QuickTime.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't the stereo. It was like a multi-channel audio file. I'd never experienced that before, and I can't open it up in any DAW. I could only place I can open it up was, I think, Reaper.
Okay.
Like Logic couldn't handle it, Pro Tools couldn't handle it, Luna couldn't handle it,
Interesting.
Live couldn't handle that file type. So that was really interesting. So now I'm like, well, I'm not going to use QuickTime anymore because I wasn't able to control the output of 64 channels, resulting in a super large audio file, right?
Yep.
Just capturing ideas and practicing. Coming gig performer. But actually, I'll back up. So this, and I got to give flowers to this another feature of the UFX3 here. It has something called Durek.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I have it here, but it takes a USB thumb drive right into the front of the device, and it can essentially be a standalone recorder.
Mm-hmm.
So effectively, it's like Gig Performer, where a cool feature about Gig Performer is that it has all of that. The built-in kind of record everything, and at the
Yep.
very bottom here, I can expand the channels down here. So you have the built-in recorder right here. So to the left of all of the channels that represent your hardware and all your I/O connections, I think when you go down to, you hit record, and
right. The box isn't showing, but that's totally okay. It's because of you're steering just the window.
Yeah, let me switch over because I think it'll make more
also,
sense.
heads up for folks who are watching, we're just over an hour here, so if you have any questions that you want Justyn to answer, do put those in the comments, because we're about towards the end. So make sure if you're wanting to ask a question before we go, get it in the box now. Okay, I see your screen. Let me pull it up.
Okay. Yeah, we realize we're running short on time.
Yeah.
So just real quickly, because that's the big thing. It's just like my takeaway from Gig Performer, how I discovered it, and what problems did it solve, was me just how I write, how I create is really just feel. It's not the quantization. It's old school, right? It's you rehearse a part, you get it right, and you get it until it's right, and there's magic in that, right? So just performing, not live in front of the stage, but just performing here within the studio, which will be live, live recordings as well. But so this is really great. You have channel selection here, so essentially, you can pick and choose what will be recorded, which I didn't have that option in QuickTime.
And Igor actually had this question. I'm going to pull him up in the screen. So he said, "How can I record sounds when I'm playing a MIDI controller?" That's what you're talking about right now. That little button in the bottom left that you just had open, that's how you can do it. And not only that, but you can also record all of the MIDI as well. So you can catch the output or the input and the MIDI using this little dialog box. Okay, it looked like you had a VST window open, Justyn. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just saw that question come in, and I was like, "Oh, you're answering it." So I wanted to
no, please feel free. This is all about
Keyscape is
knowledge sharing. So just folks can kind of see some stuff. So this is one of my favorite ones here, and I don't know if you're still hearing audio. going. And
Oh,
it's
I think I lost your volume. Probably because you were just playing. Can you just talk one more time?
okay. Yeah,
I
I'm
can
back
hear you
here.
now. Perfect.
Yeah, I was just saying, just yeah, just it's beautiful sounds in here, and just my
Yep.
process is just flowing and coming up with ideas. And let me try to switch to if have time, and
Yeah.
hopefully this doesn't cut over.
Yep.
Switching to okay. So these are some rack spaces that I built and I'm starting to work on. This
Okay.
first one's called sound design.
Yes.
Actually, the very first thing that I did, and I know you like to ask, and we're running short on time.
Yep.
Like for new users, how you would approach it. It's definitely thinking about what you want to do, what you have,
Yeah.
right? All of my VSTs, all of my plugins are specifically selected for the sound that I was going for this unfinished work that I'm doing for revisiting work. But I have new music, my personal album that
Yep.
hasn't been finished just quite yet. So, but this one here is this I've titled this Rackspace sound design here. So I specifically have sound design type instruments. So
Okay.
this is UVI Falcon. It's
Nice.
massive. So
I have heard. How many
so the thing
oscillators
is,
is it? Like 150 or something wild like that?
I don't know, and that's the thing. And so here's another
Yes.
good thing for people to consider and to understand is gig performer takes away the intimidation part of this,
Mm.
because these VSTs, especially this one, like I've heard people say, like, if I was on a this is my desert island VST. You can
Mm.
do whatever
Wow.
you want to. You've got wavetable synthesis. You said, but we don't. There's an unknown amount of oscillators in there.
Yep.
So a lot of really cool things in there that often I go overlooked. But I think it's important when you spend some time and you dig into it and find out what's cool. And the cool thing and within Gig Performer is then you can then, when you go to your panels, you
Aha.
can say, hey, these are the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. These are the 12 most important things to me from
Yes.
this VST
Yes.
instrument. And I can, when you edit it, you can, you can put an expression pedal on there. You can
Mm.
give it a gold knob to make it look pretty. You can
Yep.
put a slider on there, and give it. You go into your plugin list, the mapping, right? And the thing with Gig Performer and why I was so attracted to it as a software engineer and musician was the flexibility that you have. To do things that you want to essentially hook in to what you're given, what you're provided,
Yep.
and the customization, right? It can
Mm-hmm.
be as much and as crazy and wild as you want it to be, or it could be just as plain and simple. And that's, you'll find that Gig Performer users are using it in all different kinds of ways. I think from a year from now, we'll know of many more different ways that people will come up with. But so you pick you're the VST plugin of choice, and you have,
Yep.
I don't know if it
Yeah.
has, if it's Falcon has all
400,
of the
600. It's got a ridiculous amount of mappings in there.
right.
But
So there's 2,000 over 2,000 mappings, which means the 2,000 different ways you can tweak, you can all the different knobs. And that's the thing, I've also gone back to being tactile, right?
yes.
That was also another part motivation of this thing, was having been 20 years with plugins and 20 having had some experience in studios, but the studios aren't around anymore these days,
Right.
right? And really using your ears. You're forced to use your ears when you're not staring at this. And
Right.
that's another thing too. Gig Performer actually reduces that mental overhead. I don't know if I open up another template, it'll probably might lose connection. But I have these other panels. So yeah, so you can approach it. You can say this is a rack space I've called sound design, right?
Yep.
I have the Gig Performer's streaming audio file player, right? Drag
Yep.
and drop. So this is what I do. So um, I record vocals with singers, and often have like maybe 40 tracks, right? Backgrounds, choruses, verses, different sections, harmonies and whatnot. Bounce that down to just a stereo track. It's the backing track. So you can drop your backing tracks in here and play to them, right? Or
Yes.
anything. And so this particular tracks of rack space, you have an Omni. input. So that's just basically saying all my controllers, all my MIDI keyboards that are connected, you have freedom to control anything. But then you have you can select all your other different MIDI inputs. So this MIDI inputs represents my studio. So the
Yes.
MIDI lab, the base station, the KO, the UFX3 has 4 different ports. The key lab has stuff I don't even know what to do with.
Yep.
Right, there's just
Right.
so much there,
Yep.
so much. And the stuff at the bottom is the fun stuff, which we will start to see more of in the future too. Is um, the OSC,
Hmm.
um, and and since we're here, like so. At one point in those older pictures, there was thousands. I had every single plugin because back then you can kind of get them if you knew somebody, you can get a hold of them, right?
Yep.
But these here are very very specific. The Fab Filter ones, all the Isotope, and it's a lot of the same stuff that folks have, but the OBX, Pancake, just very very specific stuff. The Schwab's new clippers,
Yep.
um, and obviously all the native instrument stuff as well. Um, this is the Omnisphere,
Yep.
um,
So
Contact.
you were kind of trying to like reduce the number of VSTs, so you were just dealing with the ones that were most viable for what you're doing right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, very very specific sort of sound that I was going
Yep.
for. And I pulled up this particular instrument from Contact because it's on.
Hmm.
It's really so much the layering possibilities that you can
Oh,
do. And
say that one more time. Ecamm is just adjusting for the different levels, but if you talk now, it will work.
okay, yeah, it's the ability that Gig Performer facilitates to just stack layers
Hmm.
and confidently.
Hmm.
You constantly have you have your CPU meter up
Hmm.
here. I haven't gone past maybe 60%.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
still planning on stress testing just
Yeah.
to kind of see how far I can push it.
Yes.
Um, and I actually want to. You made a good. You made a brought up interesting thing about the that pause.
Yeah.
Um, this is something too that I would actually look for a feature request. Is that I do notice, and this is a great thing about how with Gig Performer, how you're hitting a chord on one rack space or a
Yep.
patch. You want to switch to the next song. You don't want that chord to cut off,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Because it carries over.
Yep.
So what I've observed is there is like it's like an auto fade.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep. And there's also patch persist. There's both, right? Like when you double click on the sound design or a double click on the rack space, there's the trail off or the patch persist. You know what I'm talking about? Double click on sound design. Not on the default, like right above it. Yeah. So there's what you're talking about with the audio tail and stuff is on the middle, and then the patch persist is right below that. So you get either the audio tail or the MIDI patch persist, so the sound keeps going. Which is nice because it gives you that flexibility. Then, like you're saying, like you hold the chord down, you move to the next rack space, it keeps going till you lift the key if you turn on MIDI patch persist, or if you want something to slowly fade out, that's in there by default. Um,
Now, how do you turn that off? Because and I'll show
MIDI
you
patch
why.
persist, the
MIDI
little
patch
floopy
persist.
box. No, you
Okay,
were
so
right.
let's try this. So let's. I'm kind of quickly going through
Yeah, yeah.
more of the Gig Performer features here. So which is set list, because again, this was designed for the live performing musician, on
Gotcha.
stage. But you can do that in your room in front of millions of people as well,
Yep.
right? So you have set lists in different songs. You have different song sections, and now let's give this a test. So can you hear that? You got the drums?
Yep. Yeah.
So there.
Hold on. Your mic
Can you
is
hear me?
resetting. Try that. Try and say that again.
Okay, yeah, I was waiting for
Oh,
exactly that.
hold on. I gotta turn you up. Go for it one more time.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so it's exactly that. I want to
Yes.
switch. So this is what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
within global rack space, this is where you have all of your global things, right? That things that you want to persist. Like on the top of the Wurlitzer over here, I have the MPK 49 that has sliders,
Yep.
and that's going to be my dedicated B3,
Yes.
right? And only that, and all the time, no matter whether I change anything else, that I want that to persist. So you do those things in your global rack space. So when I started to set up, some my drummers, essentially, right, who may change drum sets or different patterns, and that does not change when I have them in the global space. So within rack spaces, I may have I may name a rack space like an album, right? And
Sure.
then have 5 variations representing the songs. And each one of
Yes.
those songs having um I'll just share here. So what we're hearing for that jam, um I may have I may have why is that not showing it? Different grooves,
Yep.
that may change. Um, and then I may have it's not switching to that drum set, but this is basically it's switching instantly to another drum
Yes.
set, essentially, or another drummer
Gotcha.
without that crossfading. So you're saying that that MIDI patch persists. It seems like that's the trick there.
Um, what's cool? Well, okay. So first of all, some of that happens within the VST level, but as you're playing, just to kind of put some like rails on this, it's really like you have the ability now to trigger the thing, play the sounds, experiment, get in there, and this becomes your like PlayStation for being able to like experiment and create stuff, mixing your VSTs and also mixing your audio all in one place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's I've heard it described that like that as well.
Yeah.
It's a playground. It really is. I've seen somebody set up their gig performer as just sort of like a radio
Oh yeah, yeah. Yes.
transmitter. He just
Yes.
doing things, and he's got like different broadcasts kind of going, and that's really
Yes.
creative, really creative. But yeah, gig perform for me just allows me to just focus on the sounds, right? So I have so this is a strings uh, rack space where I
Yep.
have um, Vienna synchron player. So this is
Uh-huh.
something I'm really excited about too as well, because again, this Vienna synchron player is I use VSL as for my strings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they have so much they provide you with so much control, like the different articulations and things that you can map that I think sometimes get underutilized. You know, power users really have control and have things mapped, and they're
A
able
hundred
to
percent.
have full control over the articulations and the legatos and switching to the the different
Yes.
performances. Um, this is something I'm looking forward to setting up, really exploring all these. So you have all the different outputs here within the instrument, and and then you have them represented in the instrument themselves. Which again, send anything anywhere. It's like, what if I just send the reverb of the cello to the chorus of the kalimba? you know, for
Yes.
whatever reason you may want to do something like that. Yeah, so guitar rig. That's the Helix native stuff. I have this amp room from Softtube. Again, I'm a big fan. Softtube, the Swedish developers, great stuff. Big fan. I got my bass rig again. The amp room provides some really great sounding amps,
Yes.
and so it's just kind of like different flavors, right? So this is a particular bass amp that I, after going through maybe four of the Universal Audio bass plugins, that I said this is the one that I really wanted
Yep.
for the sound I was looking for. Not too distorted. It had some really super nice tight lows for R&B, because I have a 5 string Music Man Stingray bass. He was able
Yep.
to handle that really nicely. And again, this is all the low latency, real time. This is you're really able to replace um, a lot of outboard stuff with
Yes.
this, and you would think, how you can't perform on a computer. You can now, and Gig Perform really
Yes.
helps facilitate that. Yeah, so that's
Absolutely. Um, Justyn, before we totally wrap up here, I want to throw a question back at you that I've kind of trying to have been throwing at folks just to kind of frame what's happening. But like, for you, what does Gig Performer give you that you didn't get from your other workflows? I know it's a tough
it's
one.
yeah, it's given okay. It's giving me options to kind of explore more, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and just really kind of the mental over just kind of the mental overhead, the really wanting to just do it we used to do it,
Yes.
right? We used to record to dat tapes. It's
Yep.
two track, right? So you had your sound, you're playing, you're rehearsing, you weren't staring at a screen. Gig Performer simplifies that, like looking at some of those massive VST instruments that have so many different options. Where do I start? The print is so small, I can't even read it. Gig Performer allows you to just blow that up and just
Yes.
make it really easy. So then, again, when I'm trying to focus on being creative and the feel,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm not, it's not cut off by some like we had
Some
earlier,
tech.
technical difficulties, right?
Yes, absolutely. So it's
Yeah.
sort of
So
it sounds like it's kind of become your instrument.
yeah, yeah.
So it gives you
It's
some separation.
separation, the peace of mind,
Mm-hmm.
and also too, I'll say it's not even so much for just the exploration part of it. It's really for like my own songs. So my album that I'm working on too will be set list. So like you will see people will have hundreds of songs that are just their cover songs, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
perfect for doing cover work,
Yep.
right? But I think it's also perfect for your own stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, um,
Yes.
so that solving that problem as well, because
Yep.
doing the standalone jam, you don't have the ability to switch between song parts and the
Yep.
songs themselves and different patches. And I know there's software out there. Like I've used Mainstays a little bit in the
Yeah.
past, but it's it didn't blow me away.
Yeah. It's a different frame of reference for sure. Chris Bartley
Mhm.
actually has a question for you. Since you're a drummer, do you use triggers on your drums to play VSTs in GP?
Yes, yeah. What do I have up here? Oh, let's see if I can. I have. Do I have? Backspace is up here. So let's see. Like, so I have soft tube heartbeat. This is great. Again, big fan of soft tube. Each one of those plugins I
Mm-hmm.
specifically went through. So this is to answer your question. Yeah, this is an instrument that I definitely I put onto the pads. It's not on there right now, but each of my keyboards has 8 pads,
Yep.
and that's actually the only way to play this.
Yep.
Because this particular drum machine doesn't have a play button, right? It'll read MIDI, but absolutely, I'll hit the pads for this instrument, and um, battery. Yeah,
Yes.
there we go. Definitely.
Yes. I love it. And for folks who are watching who want to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, I think there's information in the link of this stream,
Yep.
but JustynClark.com is a good hub to go to. It's got links to all the other socials. Um, Justyn Clark Network is my personal brand,
Okay.
which is umbrella to other projects and websites that you can find there as well. JustynClark.com. For the going forward, the main place to get my music will be through my website, the music website, which is justbeatsmusic.com. It's currently a landing page, as actually, so as a switch to the engineering sort of thing, it's like, people are like, oh, well, you don't have anything. I don't see anything on your Spotify. Well, because I've been building my own Spotify,
Yeah. Gotcha.
which I'll be, yeah, yeah. So
Gotcha. That's
that's a
exciting.
part of the justbeatsmusic.com relaunch after 10 years of being a software engineer. Yeah. And so stay on the lookout for that too, because it's going to be a platform that I'm going to be offering to other musicians and artists too, who maybe don't have a good feeling about, streaming,
Mm-hmm.
where they can be able to sort of go direct to consumer,
Yes.
right to their fans. So they'll be able to see that through there. And yeah, those are probably the best links, I would say.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Justyn, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us and for being with us today. Friends who are watching, do reach out to Justyn. He's got all his stuff below. And join us next week, 11:30 a.m. with Ruben Valtierra, who was in the comments today. Yeah. Thank you again, Justyn. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks again for having me.